Hey Les, how's it going? Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Bella from Return Home Healing, and today I wanted to talk about a topic that's been really relevant in my life lately, and that's how our attitude affects our perception and how our perception affects our reality. So I had a women's circle the other night, and this was the topic of the circle, and we had some really interesting and deep discussions about how we see this come to play in our lives, because so often it's really easy to get stuck in a negative attitude. I believe it was Henry Ford that said, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. So that right there is saying how very much power our thoughts and our attitude have to shape the direction of our lives. What we believe to be true about our lives and our reality becomes the truth about our lives and reality. And so we have people who are really super positive and all of this good stuff always keeps happening to them. And then on the flip side, we have people who are really caught in a negative headspace and all of this negative stuff keeps happening to them. And it's like, why me? Why does this keep happening? I can't handle this. Not another thing. And it piles on and it piles on and it piles on until it feels like this insurmountable prison. And, you know, we're not taught in our society that our thoughts have any effects on our reality. We're taught that reality is what it is. Make the best of it if you can. Basically, there's not really any changing it, so go with it. And I think that there's some value to seeing the world in that way, because it's a nice call to whatever arises before you go with it. That said, we have all of this personal power that we never are taught how to utilize. And we're never taught how to play with the energetics of our lives to create shifts. So how do we create those shifts, though? If we're in this negative headspace, I always think about our ingrained thought patterns, like a wagon track. So imagine there's this path that wagons have been traveling down for 50 years, and it has these really deep ruts because so many wagons have run through this. That's the track of our thoughts in our brains. So we have these habitual patterns of thought that are deeply ingrained. That wagon has run over those thoughts so many times. So when we're trying to create new thought patterns, it doesn't happen overnight. We can't sit and do some affirmations one time and all of a sudden we perceive the world in this new way. No, because we have these really deeply ingrained wagon tracks over here. We have to work to make these new wagon tracks become ingrained in our brains. We want to make these ones even deeper than the other ones. So I think that affirmations are actually a great way to change our thought patterns. That said, it takes a dedication to doing the affirmation to actually elicit change from doing it. So it's a dedication to, all right, I'm determined to feel differently about this situation. I'm determined to change my thought pattern because I know that I'll feel differently when I can think differently about it. So these are the thoughts that I want to think now. And then spending time every day with those thoughts. 20 minutes a day, more if you can. Putting those new thoughts in and feeling emotion with those new thoughts. So right now I'm working with that in regards to my pregnancy. I have heard a lot of really negative stories about birth. I have witnessed a birth that didn't go the way that I would hope my birth would go. And I found that I have a lot of fear about being pregnant, about giving birth, and about being a mother. So I've been doing affirmations for a half hour every day to rewrite my thought patterns about birth. Instead of this societal programming around birth, like birth is really hard, birth hurt so badly. There's so many complications that could go wrong during birth. These are the kinds of the ideas that we have about birth in our minds, right? That's what society shows us. That's what we see on TV. That's the stories that people tell. So then, coming in from the other angle, I am programming my thoughts to view birth in a different way. Birth is empowering for me. Birth is amazing because it's this time when I'm about to meet my baby. All of these super positive, affirmative, flowing thoughts about birthing, and we can do this with anything in our lives. We can start to change our thought patterns with anything in our lives. Of course, affirmations aren't the only way that we can change our thoughts. I was given a really beautiful practice by a mentor of mine, and it's called script writing. And basically, in this process, what we do is we write out a script of the life we want to be living. Because so often we're stuck in the script, we're stuck in the story, right, of like the life we don't want to live. And I totally am guilty of this. I can get stuck in a really negative way of thinking, and it's almost like fantasizing about the things that I don't want to happen instead of fantasizing about what I do want to happen. So in script writing, we actually write it out. I'm the star of the show, or you're the star of your show, and you write out a script, and how is the character feeling, and what is the character doing, and how is the character dressed, and where are they living, and who are they spending time with, and what are those interactions like, what's their job like. You approach it from every facet. You have this really well-rounded character that is you, that you're writing out a script for. And this script evolves with time. And the thing is, every day, maybe right when you wake up or right before you go to bed or whatever works for you, you read the script. The script becomes a part of your reality. You focus on it. You draw it to you. You magnetize it to yourself. And as your life starts getting to those places, you add to the script. You revise the script. You realize something isn't necessarily the direction you were meant to go. You make a change. It's this really beautiful interplay of like directing your life. Because if you aren't directing your life, somebody else is directing your life. And it's really easy to give our lives away to other people. People tell us, you're this way. You're not that smart. You're alright looking. People have, all of their opinions, and it's really easy to take other people's opinions to heart. I've done that so much throughout my life, and a lot of my life I felt really not good enough. I felt like I was never living up to other people's standards, like there's always something more that I could be doing. And it's a really just an empowering way to view yourself, because it literally gives all your power away to the other people in your life. They get to decide who you are and how you live, and what the value is in the way that you live. And this process of script writing really takes back the reins of your life. It says, no, I'm going to actually be the one to direct my life. I get to decide how I feel. I get to decide how I value the things that I'm doing with my time. I get to decide all of it because it's my life. And as you do the script writing process, you develop this really beautiful partnership with the divine, with God, in whatever way that you view God. You develop this co-creative flow where the things start working. And as they start working, you get into a gratitude loop. And as you're grateful, more things start working. It's really this beautiful flowing interplay. And it happens in the reverse too, is the thing. That flow, that negative flow goes the same way. It's like something bad happens and you're like, why did this happen to me? I didn't deserve this. It's not fair. I wish I had that. And you're just like presencing all this negative energy and all this lack. And the universe is like, oh, that's the energy you want to be in? Okay, here's more. And then you get deeper in it. Here's more. Because the resonance that you are putting out is the frequency vibration that you're holding. So your thoughts are actually creating this frequency vibration around you that's drawing in all of the events of your life. So as we learn to think more positively, as we learn to adjust our attitude, we see things start to evolve. Perfect example, over the past year, I've had a lot of ups and downs with my romantic partner, and because of all the downs, I got into a really negative way of thinking about our partnership, and I would find myself just ruminating on the things that I didn't want to happen. And more often than not, I would find those things happening, and I didn't understand, and it was really upsetting because there's this beautiful connection between the two of us, and I just kept experiencing all this negativity with him, and I couldn't comprehend why. I was very lost in the way that I felt about it. And as I started to script write and work on some of these practices that we're talking about, I began to think about us in a different way. I began to think about myself primarily in a different way, which allowed me to think about my partnership in a different way. And as I began to think about him in a different way, I was able to, instead of, say, focus on every little thing that was wrong, which I was finding myself doing. Maybe you find yourself doing this about things in your life too, where it's like 10 things could go right, but your focus is all on that one thing that went wrong. And that's what I was doing all the time with him. And so I shifted my perspective. So if 10 things go wrong, I'm going to highlight the one thing that goes right. And I'm going to be super grateful for that. And as I've shifted into doing that, and it's definitely a process, like I said, none of this happens overnight, and it's definitely continually teaching and relearning and reapproaching and failing and trying again. As I've been able to approach our partnership in this way, I've seen it start to evolve. I've seen the way that he approaches me evolve in direct proportion, so that instead of him approaching me in this kind of closed off, defensive way, he's approaching me with a much more open heart, more willingness to give. There's just more love. There's more flow between our heart spaces. There's more positivity between us. Because I decided to shift my focus to that, and it can be really, really hard. I know when you're in the midst of a lot of negativity, trying to think positive can seem like the most overwhelming thing in the world. And I think with all of this, it's one step at a time. Changing your thoughts has to be a process, because as we discussed, things are so deeply ingrained in our minds. And when things are deeply ingrained, it takes work. And it doesn't have to be work this is hard, this is awful. It can be fun. In fact, it's better if it's fun. If the work that you're doing is more like play, it'll evolve more quickly, and you'll want to do it more. If the way that you're trying to change just feels like torture, you're like, ugh, I feel bad, and now I'm just sitting thinking about how I shouldn't feel bad. Make it play, make it a game, make doing your affirmations an enjoyable experience for you. Reward yourself for doing this practice for you. Get back into that interplay with life, because when we're stuck in the negativity loop and we're seeing everything as negative, we don't allow ourselves to enjoy life. And I have seen that firsthand from my own experience, how when you're really focused on what's wrong, it takes away your ability to enjoy the most simplest things in life. You forget to sit and enjoy the taste of the meal that you're eating. You forget to enjoy the feel of the wind crossing your skin as you walk down the street. The little things lose meaning, and the pleasure that we should all feel being alive, being embodied, we lose that in our lives. And nobody deserves to live a life without pleasure. And I don't think that this universe was designed so that we would live lives without pleasure. And that's like another way to work on starting to change your perception of reality is getting back into what brings you pleasure, and every day doing one of those things. Even if you feel like, I don't deserve it, I'm bad, I'm not good enough, do it anyway. Because if you don't do it, nobody else will. And it's really powerful to understand that you have the power to affect your reality. Reality isn't static like we've been taught. And the theory of the holographic universe, which is a physics theory which very closely aligns with what metaphysicians have been saying for centuries and centuries, is that the world, reality, this solid world of tabletops and bodies and plants and walls and books is actually just an illusion. It's an illusion created by the mind. Our individual minds being part of the one mind, the mind of God, the mind of the universe. And everything that we see is like a hologram, a 3D hologram projected. And so that reality is capable of greater shifts than we imagine, far, far greater shifts than we've been taught. We've been taught that reality is completely static and it is what it is. And this theory would say nothing is as it appears and everything is completely malleable. And the way that we perceive it creates the reality that we experience. So if we can start to perceive our realities in a new way, we can start to have a new experience of our realities. So it's seeking those grains of positive in each and every experience. It's being so grateful, even when things go wrong. I have a book of affirmations, and that's one that I've thought about a lot this year, because he talks about even when things go wrong, be grateful. Be grateful that they went wrong. Be grateful for the lessons learned, because as you presence that gratitude, you're building that wall of positive energy. And that's something I've never done before. When things go wrong, it's always been like, what did I do wrong? What's wrong with me? Like, you know, kind of this like implosion. And when you can instead, when things go wrong, come to gratitude, oh, it's so expansive and freeing, because it's like, you know what? I didn't do anything wrong necessarily. It just, this is what happened. This is what I can learn from it. I'm grateful for the experience. I'm grateful for the growth it's bringing to me. Thank you. And let's move forward with our lives. It's a really, I think, kind of like a revolutionary way to view the events of our lives. And of course, as I've said numerous times throughout this video, you know, when you're stuck in that negativity, it's not always easy to come into these habits. There's one thing my mom always says, and that's just one thing at a time. Take it one thing at a time, but do it every day. Even when you don't feel like it. Spend 20 minutes, spend 10 minutes even, doing this thing every day. And watch how your life starts to evolve. And I have found that to be incredibly truthful. If you're not willing to put in the energy, we'll say, on your side, you can't expect to receive the energy back. So you have to be willing to start somewhere. You have to be willing to start somewhere. So just take a moment, close your eyes, take a couple of deep breaths. And get into your head for a second about something in your life in which you've been having negative thoughts. And just think about what those thoughts are. Continuing to breathe deeply, viewing these thoughts, these negative thoughts, without judgment. We are not here in this moment to judge whatsoever. We're just here to become aware. So often we're not even aware of the negative thoughts we're having. So step one, become aware. And what are some of the feelings associated with those thoughts? How do you feel when you think those thoughts? What emotions come up? Where do you feel those thoughts in your body? Do they hit your heart? Are they lodged in your belly? Do you get a headache when those thoughts come? Does your throat tighten up? Become aware of the sensations connected to the negative thoughts. And then take a really deep breath into your belly. And just let it go. You might even shake a little bit. Just let those negative thoughts go. And then I want you instead to think about that situation, that topic, and what you do want from it. I want you to think about, if that situation were ideal, what would be happening? What emotions would you be feeling if the situation were going the way that you feel, that you going in a way that would make you feel positive? What are you doing? How is your body posture? How does it feel inside your body? How are you connecting? If there's other people involved in this situation, how are you interacting with those others? Just try to see the situation from all facets. If it were going the way you wanted it to be going. And then take another deep breath and let it go. Just coming back to the present moment. Maybe coming to a close on this video. That said, I would like to extend an invitation to you to go further with this. If there's something in your life where your thoughts are just creating a really negative reality for you, take some time. Write out that story. Write out that negative story. How you feel, what you're doing, all of that, all the facets of it. And then I want you to just go outside and burn it. Burn that piece of paper, burn that story, release it. And claim your power to start perceiving it in a new way. And then what I would love for you to give a try is that script writing activity. So go ahead and write out the situation in a new way, in a new light. From all facets. How are you feeling? What are you wearing? Where are you? Who are you with? How are you connecting with who you're with? All of those facets of how you want this situation to unfold, write those out. And then every day, for however long you feel called, read that. Read that. Presence that. Bring that into your spectrum. Start creating those ruts in your wagon road. And watch how things start to evolve. And I would love to hear your stories about how those things start to evolve. So feel free to connect at any time. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. I hope you found some grains of truth and wisdom that are beneficial to you on your journey. If you have more to add, exercises to share, experiences to relate, do let me know in the comments. And I send you so much love and so much light on this most blessed day. May truth and peace and love go with you. Namaste.